It's important to know the difference between the N-Series Ford tractors. Some people don't know whether they own an 8N, 9N, or a 2N Ford, and also they sometimes get the years wrong. So in this video, I'll walk you through the steps so that you can identify what tractor you own or what tractor you're looking at. First, I'm going to talk to you about the years that they were produced. Now in 1939, the 9N Ford was introduced. You'll notice that it's 39, the 9N. That's how you can remember it. And the 9N was made from 39 to 41 until 1942 when, you guessed it, the 2N came out. The 2N was in production until 1947 when, in 1948, the 8N Ford came out, which was in production until 1952. In 53, they changed styles to be a Jubilee Ford. Now, when you're looking at a tractor, you can easily look at the rear wheels and make a judgment on what type of tractor you have. This is an 8N to my left, and you'll see that the wheel here has the 8-bolt pattern. This type of center or this type of dish in the wheel will be on an 8N Ford tractor. Now, you'll also see wheels of that style on Ferguson and a Jubilee, but if it's a Ford and it looks like that, then you would know that that's an 8N. Now on my right, you'll see here that this is the style of dish that you would see on a 9N or a 2N Ford tractor. Now some 9Ns did come with a smooth center right here, some of the very early ones, but regardless, they still have this wide dish with the 6 bolts out the end. So that would be an easy way for you to decide if you have an 8N or if you have a 9N or a 2N. Now let's look at some more differences. To tell the difference between a 9N and a 2N Ford is a little difficult since there aren't extreme differences between the models. The most notable would be this front radius arm. This is a 2N behind me, and you'll see that this is tubular, so that would be a 2N. If you're looking at a 9N Ford, the radius arm would look like this, where it's an I-beam style. This style would be off a 9N Ford. Now also on the rear axle of this tractor, it does say 2N right here in the back, which would identify it as 2N. But as you probably know, the serial number on many 2Ns does start out 9N, which tends to be very confusing for people. Maybe Ford was just using the same number and had them cast already, I don't know. But they do say 9N on a 2N Ford tractor. Now if you go to purchase parts for a 9N or a 2N, the parts are going to be the same, so you don't need to worry about the highly technical details between a 2N and a 9N Ford tractor. Now please note that there are some very early 9Ns which have many distinct characteristics from other 9N Ford tractors. However, if you are looking at an early 9N, I'm sure that it's already been discovered by a collector at this point, and you're likely looking at the older 9Ns that are just like the 2N Ford tractors. Now we'll talk about differences that exist on an 8N Ford tractor versus the 9N or a 2N. There were a lot of changes that happened on the 8N. It was a big year for upgrades on the N-Series tractors. Some of those differences would be a 4-speed transmission on an 8N versus the 9N or a 2N that had only 3 speeds and sometimes would come with the Sherman high-low transmission. We also see a regular steering gearbox versus something that would be cast on the 9N or the 2N models. We have both brake pedals on the same side. We have running boards that would have come from the factory on an 8N versus a 9N or a 2N. If you see one with running boards, those were added afterwards. Additionally, on an 8N, we have, flip this seat up and you'll see there's a very small lever here which is for draft control. That only exists on an 8N Ford tractor. Now 8N Ford tractors were offered with either a front distributor or a side distributor. In 48 and 49 they came with the front distributor like what's in my hand that would have matched the 9N or 2N style, but then in 1950 and 51 and 52 they came out with this side distributor model, which was so much better than the front distributor. Then in 51 and 52 they came out with a proof meter or tachometer like this one in the dash. These are all really easy ways that you can determine if you have a 9N, 8N, or a 2N Ford tractor. Now sometimes you'll find a tractor that may have a part that was swapped off another model, and that's to be expected with tractors that were made in the 40s and 50s. You know some parts are going to be swapped by now. You'll see on this tractor that this size tire would not have originally come on a 1952 tractor, and it's just how it goes. But you can follow the basic principles and then you'll be able to make a really good judgment on whether you have an 8N, 9N, or 2N Ford tractor.